stay, that they're not going to burn out, they're not going to tire out, they're not going to call you July 1st and say, I need to take a break, I need to focus on my priorities, I need to refigure some things out. We don't want that. You want them to stay the course. You want them to play, as Simon Sinek says, the infinite game. You have to keep them in the long run. This is one of the most lucrative business models there is because of the long game that is available for you. There's the money you make today, and then there's the wealth you create for tomorrow. And that is with your emerging leaders. Now, you might have some thoughts about what it takes to develop 1,000 silver leaders. You wouldn't be human if you didn't have thoughts. Good thing for me, I'm here to teach you how to overcome some of the thoughts and stories that might keep you from developing the leaders you want to develop. But it starts with how the stories we tell ourselves and how we view our past experiences. You may have noticed there's been a lot of change in the industry in the last couple of years. There's been a lot of change, just period. In our culture and society, with jobs, there's been a lot of change. And that has really, I want you to start seeing change as an invitation to greatness. Change is an invitation to your greatest potential. You can sit there and fight it, be annoyed by it, wish it wasn't there, wish it was different, wish for the better days, the old days when it was easier, when it was more fun. But guess what? You can't change the past, but you can 100% change how you respond and what you do with it and how you move forward. If you want to create legacy leaders, you have to be a legacy leader first. So I want to kind of give you some framework for the last 3 years on what you likely have been noticing with your leadership and your business and with this industry. 2020 is what I called, and if you were at my event, I talked about this, but it bears repeating because I want it to be so deeply embedded in your brain, because I want you to understand just how possible and simple and easy it is for you to achieve your goal of 1,000 silver leaders. 2020 is what I call the year of disruption. This is when what we knew as normal changed overnight. People lost 9-to-5 jobs, servers, waitresses. A lot of people were forced to do something different. They came home, they worked remotely. Where the concept of that might have been different for some people. Not everybody worked remotely, but suddenly after March 17th, for 6 weeks, the world worked remotely. And the world took notice of your business model. They saw, I can work from home, I can work online, I can actually make money. And what happened was people were like, I do think there was a little bit of convenience, and people said, might as well make money. I'm either gonna make money or sourdough bread. I might do both. We saw it happen. There was a yeast shortage, I remember, right? So people were like, might as well. We're here. And they fell in love with the potential. I say that people became woke to the business model. They're like, what is this thing that allows me to make money today and secure money for tomorrow? Passive income? Excuse me? Tell me a little more. So you might have seen massive recruitment come to your organization in 2020. You might have seen a lot of new people, and you might have been like, hey, woo, we're going. And then 2021, it kind of continued with that momentum, and we saw something called the Great Resignation. And this doesn't just apply to network marketing. I meant this is kind of what globally happened in the job markets. We saw a ton of people leaving secure, safe jobs because they'd rather have flexibility and options. It happened in the corporate world. There's job shortages because people saw the lure of flexibility and options. So it led to the Great Resignation. What you might have noticed in 2021 is all those leaders or new builders that came to you out of convenience suddenly had to prioritize business in 2021 because they had distractions, they had places to be, they had, the world started slowly opening up. And so I think 2021 was a little bit of the shakedown. The people who shook out might not have been your most committed people, but the people who stayed are your future leaders. Which is why 2022 is the year of leader emergence. You can sit here and say, oh, but look at everybody that left, and give your energy to the people that aren't there, aren't working, and sit and pout. Or you can realize, but who's with me now, and where are we going? right? So this idea of emerging and developing, creating leaders, I want you to be very aware of the story you're telling yourself, because if you're telling yourself this narrative of, it used to be so easy to recruit, or in 2020 it was just easier then, it was easier then, or remember the days, nostalgia is a very dangerous thing for a leader. You know why? Because it means that you believe the best days are behind you. Your best days are ahead of you. Your your best days for your team, they're ahead of you. The best days for this company, they are ahead of you. They are not behind you. I need you to believe that a little bit more for me. I believe it for you, but you have to embody our best days are ahead, and I'm willing to rise as a leader to create that. I'm a part of that. Instead of waiting around, I'm going to take ownership of this idea of creating and this new emerging leader. So with this concept of developing new people and bringing people to this business model, you need to know what's changed. What's changing with social media, what's changing with your audience. Because you might have been very belly to belly in your business before the pandemic, and trust me, if you have the story that it was easier belly to belly, that's not serving you either. Because what that's not doing is it's not forcing you to get creative and think, wait, how might it be easier for me to do this business online? Because I'm connecting with people I normally never would have connected with. So if you want to think about who are the next generation of leaders, the people who chose to stay with you and the people you're about to attract from your new level of belief. The social selling industry follows very closely the trends of social media and the social media platforms. The future of social selling follows how the audience members engage on today's social media. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You have to watch what's going on there, because how users interact with the platform is a direct correlation to how buyers are engaging with sellers. They're synonymous. People now come online to shop. More than 75% of Instagram users, and there are billions, come online to purchase something. It is no longer weird or taboo to be selling something online. It's actually expected. It's almost weird if you're not selling something. Or be like, what are you doing here? We're all selling stuff. I don't know what you're doing. You know, trolls probably, if you're not selling, right? But you have to understand that right now, the drivers of social media is Gen Z. They've been born in 1995. Is there any Gen Z in here? Oh. We gotta find some Gen Z people quickly. Oh, I saw one hand. Okay, but Gen Z are people that were born after 1995, and they are driving the trends of social media. They are your next generation of leaders, and here's the best part. They are the most open and receptive generation to this business model. Yes. Do you know why? Because they pretty much came out of the womb with a phone in their hand. That generation literally grew up watching people make millions open up toys on YouTube for my kids to watch. I don't understand it. 100 million views, someone opening up a toy and talking about it. But that generation is like, wait, excuse me, I can monetize online. It's second nature to them. They don't question it. They don't rely on conventional norms. They're the generation that's most likely to jump into this business model and not think, well, let me go and get my master's degree and let me go and do this, traditional trajectory that most of us have been conditioned to believe. But Gen Z is already open to this business model. You don't have to sell them on it. Isn't that the best? They're already actively looking for ways to monetize online. Now you have to position yourself to be the person that they want to work with. With Gen Z, because they are the primary drivers, it's really important you understand what's changed with social media. It is changing quickly, and you have to change with it. Because if you don't change, you're static and you're staying. You have to adapt. Right now on social media, there's a mass departure from curated, highly aesthetic feeds, and there's a greater demand for authentic, educational, and relatable content, meaning you don't need to go through 15 preset filters on your grid to make sure it looks pretty anymore. I've been waiting for this day for like 10 years. But it used to be you had 5 seconds for someone to come to your Instagram platform and look at the 9x9 grid, the 9 on the aesthetic if they wanted to follow you. Thank God that's done. Now they're thinking, are you like me? Are you relatable? Are you someone I can see myself in? There is a departure from curated, and they want relatable and authentic and organic. And every single person in this room can do that. You don't need to be an influencer anymore. You don't need to have that really beautiful wide brim hat while, sauntering in the wheat fields with the sunset behind you in every photo looking just gorgeous. I just called you out. You don't need to do that. I love your proper hats. They're beautiful, but it's not needed anymore. So if someone comes to your platform and is seeing that, they no longer have to overcome the obstacle. I have to have a curated feed to show up powerfully on social media and to have a business. Now it's available for anybody. And that's good news. Today's audience, they're different. So you cannot use the same marketing tactics from 2 to 3 years ago. You can't. To say, well, it used to work 2 to 3 years ago, is still operating with nostalgia. And it's also resistance to change. It's resistance to the discomfort of, I'm going to have to freaking acquire new skills. This old dog is going to have to learn some new tricks if it wants to play. And you have to have that mindset. Marketing is always evolving. It is never static. Therefore, your leadership should always be evolving and never static. If you have done the same thing, what worked then, you are static in your leadership. And this is an invitation. I'm giving you an invitation to step into the discomfort of acquiring new skills and being the leader for the next generation of leaders that you are going to develop and grow. The future profitability of your business is directly tied to your ability to develop leaders in a sustainable way. Sustainability is so important. You have to teach people how to be in this for the long game. You have to teach people how to be process-oriented, how to love the process while in pursuit of their goals. Because if they don't love the process, they might grind it out for a time, reach the goal, and then they're going to be like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to do this because we didn't find out a sustainable process to keep them in for the long run. You must develop leaders for sustainable future wealth in this business. It's not an option. Which is why I want to talk about legacy leadership. The concept of legacy leadership is not just developing any leaders, it's legacy leaders. By definition, legacy means practices that are handed down. I grabbed a couple different definitions, but I pulled this out. Practices that are handed down. Lasting residual income is only created when you have legacy leadership, and so essentially, it means that you are building and creating leaders to carry on your culture, your rhythms, and the work ethic of your entire organization without you having to be present all the time. That is good duplication. It's when they understand the ethos of what you're about and they continue to practice that. It ripples down the entire organization. Handed down practices is just another term for duplication. Legacy and duplication go hand in hand. If you want people to repeat and hand down and for it to be a ripple effect, you have to develop legacy leaders. I think a lot of people get very caught up with thinking, I see a lot of people in this industry, they get very caught up with customers. It's a very safe place to be. And I see a lot of people not developing leaders because that person is stuck on serving customers. Because they really believe in the product. And I know you all believe in your product because I follow a lot of you on social media. You all love your oils, and I love your oils. But don't let someone hide with only acquiring customers because it feels safe. You can teach someone to build a business while they're saying, I'm still learning about this, but I love it. It really can be that simple. Instead of thinking, okay, I need to have a massive organization of customers, you still need that. That is today's dollar, but tomorrow's dollar is with your leaders. Future residual income is directly correlated with your ability to develop leaders. Because if you're just acquiring customers, and if you have a team member that is a genius with acquiring customers and they are not building leaders, they're not talking about the business, this tells me they're short-sighted. They're only looking at today's earnings and they don't understand you secure future income. That building business builders is actually a future wealth building activity. And the only reason they're not doing that is because you haven't sold them on it. Have you sold them on the long game? Have you sold them on the why? Have you sold them on why it's important to keep talking about the business? As a future-focused leader, and it is so important that you are a future-focused leader, not caught in the muck of today and 30-day increments. I see a lot of leaders caught there. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But you have to prioritize regular personal recruitment and sell it to your team because, like I said, it's a future wealth building activity. Are you using that language with your leaders? Do they understand this is the long game strategy? Literally, recruitment is long game strategy. If they don't understand that, it's because your organization is short-sighted. Good thing is, all you need to do is sell them the long term. Sell them the vision. Why is it important for them to see their business 5 years from now, their business 10 years from now, their legacy business, the business that they can hand down to their children, the business that keeps paying them years down the road, right? Your leaders are the people that say, I want to create future income, I want passive income. Listen, probably 70%, no, more than that, 90% of your organization, they want to get the notifications while they're sipping their Mai Tais that they're getting paid. Who doesn't want that? You guys are really quiet about that. I'm like, aren't you guys like, you're getting paid while you're here. This is what's really lucrative about this business model. I'm like, we gotta hype you up a little bit more about how amazing this is what you have to offer. And if you want to create 1,000 new leaders, you have to create the belief in that. Those people will buy your belief in your business model. The number one thing you're selling, you think you're selling business, you think you're selling a product, what you are selling first is your belief, always. People buy your belief. If you have high level of belief, they buy from you. Low level of belief, not very much engagement. And selling doesn't stop after you've logged off your Instagram and your Facebook. You're always selling. As a leader, you are always selling. I teach this to my students. I'm like, you're never done selling. If you're not selling a product and you're not selling the business, you're selling work ethic. You're selling process. You're selling leaning into the hard. You're selling discomfort. You're selling doing hard things. You have to sell as a leader. Your ability to recruit and duplicate recruitment is always a direct reflection of your beliefs. Say that again. Your ability to recruit and duplicate recruitment in your organization as a whole is always a direct reflection of your beliefs. So again, if you're telling yourself it was easier then, or recruitment is hard, people don't want it, whatever stories you tell yourself is why you're not seeing the results you want to be seeing. And it's really easy because I see a lot of people, they get very hungry for the strategy. I heard you guys back there. Every time someone said the word strategy, you're like, oh, yes. But listen, I'm gonna tell you something. There is no amount of strategy that will outperform a crappy belief you keep believing. It's true. Do you know what strategy is without the right belief? It's just putting a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage. It's treating the symptom and not addressing the root. And I know y'all are really big on addressing root causes. I know my audience. So listen, as leaders, when you're seeing somebody that's not taking the action, the answer isn't to go and talk at them and not prescribe, make a post, do the thing. They know. You have to get to the root. What are they not believing? Beliefs drive behavior, always. But some of y'all are like, my belief is fine, I just gotta go. And you're like a machine. You're like, if I just crank out enough activity and I become a flurry of chaos, I'm bound to get results. Sure, but do they last? You can go out on a crazy bender and recruit everyone you see, but if your mindset is a mess, they won't continue to follow you. You have got to do this sustainably, and it starts with your beliefs. Always. It always starts with you. A lot of times I see leaders putting their focus on teaching their team to duplicate actions. That's important. You do want your team to duplicate your actions, but the first thing they will always duplicate is your beliefs. Always. If you're believing this is easy. We got this. We have everything we need. We have the best systems. Our team knows where we're going. We have the best company. Then that's going to embed in their own brain and be like, okay, I believe you. But here's the problem. What I see leaders do is they will hold on to beliefs that are not serving them. And you cannot help someone overcome a belief that you have not overcome yourself. So if you're currently entertaining the thought of like, it's kind of hard to find someone that wants this business. Oh, I can recruit them, but there's very few people that want this, Kristen. They just don't want it, right? Let's say you are actively in the thought about someone in your organization, they don't want it. That person, they don't want it. They're not showing up. Then imagine one of your leaders coming up to you and they're having a struggle with one of their leaders, and they're saying to you, well, that person doesn't want it. Now you can't help them because you're actively entertaining that thought yourself about one of your own leaders. Now we have the blind leading the blind. That's not serving anybody. So again, you always have to think, how can I better grow the beliefs of my organization instead of just throwing action at them? Listen, you know what to do. You've been given training all day on exactly what to do. But you gotta watch the stories between your ears because that always drives the behavior. You've heard the saying, speed of the leader, speed of the team. And that is partly true. But what determines speed? Beliefs determine your speed. That's it. Your level of belief determines the intensity of your speed. I'm going to give you an example. If you're having a lot of drama, I don't think I'm a good leader. I don't know if I should do this kind of opportunity call or this kind of call, or if I should implement this, or do I need to reevaluate my systems? Notice how you're spending so much time. You're literally losing hours of your day having drama over your leadership instead of getting to work and saying, I know exactly what I'm doing, I know where we're going, I believe in this, and I'm going to develop leaders and we're going to go. That person is busy getting results while this person is having drama. The number one time waster is your drama. The only reason you're scrolling on social media is because your belief is in the tank. I don't know if I'm a good leader. I'm just going to scroll and watch a few more reels. I don't want to have that conversation. I'm just going to do this. Hide in busy work. I'm going to make some graphics on Canva. That does not make you money. Don't even get me started. My six-figure earners, when they come and tell me, I'm like, you better not be doing Canva graphics. That does not make you money. What makes you money is thinking about believing you have everything it takes, getting rid of your mind drama, and getting to work. Again, thoughts of the leader become the thoughts of the team. I got this becomes we got this. Your team is always looking at your cues. They're reading you and saying, okay, what's her belief? I'm following her. I'm following them. They look like they've got their belief. I can feel grounded in mine too. Notice I got this becomes we got this. I'm stuck becomes we're stuck. Thinking as a leader, we've just been stuck at this ring for a long time. I don't know how we're going to get out of this. They're stuck, we're all stuck, everybody stays stuck. And then you waste a lot of time trying to figure out, there must be something I'm missing to get unstuck. It's just the drama you have in your head. That's it. You have to revisit your beliefs. Am I 100% on board with what I'm selling? Where am I not 100% in belief that this is possible, that this is done? A really great indicator of if you are in belief is to always check in with your nervous system. You guys know this. You got all your emotional blends. So I want you to check in with yourself. And the best way to know when you're not in belief as a leader is when you feel like you are in a anxious, tight, intense, I'm going to call it the how state. That's where you're like, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? I'm going to have to figure this out, and I need to do this, and you're in a very frantic state. That's like not trusting that you have what it takes to get the results. Whereas I love sitting with something called the done energy. The done energy is believing it's done. believing it's on its way. It feels extremely grounded in your body. Always evaluate what's going. As a leader, always check in with your nervous system, and it'll never lie to you. So, when you are believing that this is done, it's possible, our organization is absolutely going to create the next however many silver leaders in my organization. When you're believing it's done, it feels very centered, it feels incredibly focused, you feel incredibly clear-minded, and you get to work. But a nervous system that is in fight or flight, that's thinking, how, what, it's not possible, I'm freaking out, I don't know what to do, that nervous system is too busy trying to survive. It's not creatively thinking for results. It's not problem solving. It's not doing the hard thing. It's just spiraling. It's just spinning out. How many of you have been there before? Oh, y'all. Every hand up. Y'all are humans. I know. It's important you understand that, which is why the future of leadership and social selling is with the self-aware leader. The leader that understands the stories they're telling themselves. A self-aware leader is a self-led leader. You have to be willing to lead yourself. You cannot lead, you have no business leading others until you first learn to lead yourself. And it is the hardest work you'll ever do. Leading yourself, it don't feel good. It doesn't. And I'm gonna come unpack for you why being self-led is hard. Because when you're self-led, you're not waiting on anybody. You're not waiting on anybody to come to you and give you a little pep talk when your belief is low. You're responsible for that yourself. You don't outsource your belief to anybody else. My upline hasn't checked in on me in a long time. She hasn't given me a heart-to-heart. It's not her responsibility or their responsibility. It's yours. It is your responsibility to pour into your belief every day. No one's coming to your bed at 5 a.m. to say, we're going to be a good leader today, we're going to do hard things, and we're going to go, and we're going to talk to your leaders, we're going to have an opportunity call. No one's coming. No one's coming to give you a pep talk. The self-led leader waits for nobody. They understand I'm responsible for this for myself. And what happens is self-led leaders create self-led leaders. And that's pretty fun. I'm going to contrast for you the difference. I'm actually going to start with manager. I'm going to contrast for you the difference so that you know if you're being a self-led leader or a leader that's kind of in a state of chaos or you're managing. Here's how you know. A manager, they have something called conditional circumstantial ownership. They take ownership and responsibility of some things, not all things. If a lot of people are coming to that call, I'll show up on the call. I'll put in the time with this person. I don't want to waste my time. The manager has the thought, I don't want to waste my time. Instead, they believe I never waste my time. I'm always growing and I'm always developing and I'm always becoming a better version of myself. Always, always. My time is never wasted. Because I think when you fear wasting time, you stop pouring into people. Right? You start thinking, I'm going to meet with Cindy again. Sorry if your name's Cindy. I'm going to meet with Cindy again, and she's going to ask me what's gone wrong in her business, and I'm going to tell her the things, and she's not going to listen, and we're going to be exactly here 30 days from now, so I'm just not going to talk to Cindy. Instead of like, okay, well, hold on. Why is this a reoccurring pattern here? What needs to change about me? What needs to change in the leadership here? Why does this dynamic keep going? Conditional circumstantial ownership is when you only want to own the things that feel easy to own. Whereas with a leader, they own it all. I'm gonna go back. I've decided I'm gonna go back. Okay, leader. On contrast to that, radical result ownership. They take 100% full responsibility for absolutely everything that happens in the organization. They didn't re-rank. What do I need to do about that? Instead of thinking, that link didn't listen to me again, or it's the algorithm, or it's because we moved from belly to belly to online, or I don't have enough big following, or corporate changed things up, or this is different, or this is out of stock. A leader takes all responsibility and is never looking to outsource it anywhere else. And that's really uncomfortable. Because then it requires you to look at yourself and say, how am I the common denominator for all results I create? You have to do that. I remember in my 20s, I kept dating really terrible people. And I was like, what is with all these toxic men? And why are they here? And then I finally realized, wait, hold on. I'm the common denominator. Is it me? Am I toxic? Yes. I had to work on some stuff. I'm like, wait, what is it about me that keeps engaging in this, that keeps attracting this? You have to do the same with your leadership. What is it about me that's allowing this behavior to continue? What is it about me, and how can I own this? How is this 100% within my control? Do you know why ownership is so helpful and empowering to you? Because if you believe it's in your control, then you believe you can fix it. Then you believe you can change. Then you believe anything's possible. It's the most empowering thought you can have. That I am responsible. I'm responsible for what happened. I'm also responsible for how I respond to that. And I'm also fully responsible and capable for turning this boat around. Maybe you're in a season of rebuilding. And you can have a lot of stories about why you're rebuilding. Why it's hard. You can choose to be a victim of your rebuilding, or you can choose to emerge as a leader and say, I'm going to build it better. And I am not the same leader that I was, and I'm going to create a different result. Yes, you need to embrace that for yourself. I loved hearing Jihan, she said, you can build it once, you can build it again. Not just build it again, but you're going to build it better. Because you've got some lessons under your belt this time, don't you? You're a different person. You're going to attract a completely different leader when you start changing how you lead yourself. And a leader is also, they proactively problem solve. I drill this into my students all the time. It's like proactively problem solve is anticipating problems before they happen, not acting with your hair on fire. Oh my gosh, our volume is down, it's the 20th of the month, everybody get together, rally! Freak out, freak out, freak out, my hair's on fire! Instead, they're thinking, okay, wait, hold on. What is any possible obstacle that my team might deal with or contend with that I can solve for now before it happens? So that when emergency happens, I have a plan. I know exactly what to do, and my team can look to me and think, okay, we know where we're going, it's not a problem. You have to expect obstacles. You have to. As a leader, you're like, okay, something's gonna go wrong, and I'm gonna decide ahead of time how I'm gonna address it and what I'm gonna do about it. A leader also operates from internal drive. They have internal drive. They're very compelled by their why, their deeper why. They're not waiting, again, they're not waiting for anybody to come and give them a pep talk. No one else is responsible for their results. They're extremely internally driven, meaning they don't wait to, have a fire under their butt to decide to show up for their business. It's just what they do, it's who they are. They're not waiting for the next incentive to decide to care. They're not waiting for corporate to offer something for it to be like, now this looks fun, I'll jump in now. Internally led to, this is why it matters, this is why it's important to me, and this is why I'm gonna keep going day in and day out, and I'm gonna play the infinite game. I'm gonna freaking love the journey the whole way there. I'm gonna find a way to love myself and love the journey and love the process. That is the strong internal drive, not waiting on anybody. A leader is always evaluating, refining, and implementing. There's a difference when I was talking about nostalgia, when you're kind of looking back and like, oh, remember then? Or even like regret, looking back and kind of, there's two ways you can look back at the past. There's one that serves you and there's one that doesn't. A productive way of looking at the past is like, okay, what can I learn from this? Where are my lessons? What are we doing better? And how can we apply it now? Non-productive is being a victim of what happened and thinking, oh my gosh, well, this is what happened and this is why, and it's because of this, and I feel so out of control here, and this person doesn't want to get on the phone with me, and I don't know how to talk to this person anymore, right? It's kind of, one, strips all the power away when you're just looking back with regret and remorse and nostalgia and being like, wasn't it easy then? Instead of evaluating and extracting what is here for me that I can take with me moving forward. How can I create a game plan and how can I have a better strategy because I'm willing to evaluate. But evaluation requires a lot of compassion and curiosity for yourself. You have to have compassion when you evaluate, because if you're going to be a big old bully to yourself when you evaluate and be like, look at you, you sucked, you didn't follow through, you didn't do the thing again. But if that's the language you have about yourself when you're evaluating your past behaviors, you're not going to want to evaluate. Because your brain is going to be like, oh, I know what happens when we look back. You're mean to me, and I don't like the inner bully, and I don't want that talk, so let's just avoid it, and we'll just pretend it never was, and we'll just create a new plan and hope it works. And we become wishy-washy. Evaluation, remember, success leaves clues. You have to go and look for the clues and be like, okay, what is there for me that I need to apply and do differently next time? They're refining, and they're busy implementing. The speed of implementation determines the speed of your results. You're sitting around thinking about it, second guessing, wondering if you need to tweak this, tweak that. It's keeping you from getting to work and implementing. You're losing time. More time is lost with indecision. Listen, you being indecisive as a leader is costing you time and money. But if you can learn to make a decision, have your own back and say, okay, I'm going to make this decision. This is what we are doing. This is how I'm leading my team. And after we do this, I'm going to evaluate and look for what I need to do better next time. And then from that, I'm going to create a plan, I'm going to be proactive, and I'm going to implement. A leader also values long-term thinking. They play the infinite game. They don't get caught up in what's happening in 30-day timeframes. While that's important, it gives you information. They understand, okay, what is the long-term lesson for me here? And what do I need to learn? What do I need to do differently? They're always thinking, they have infinite commitment to a short-term goal. Think about that. Infinite commitment to a short-term goal. The 1,000 silver leaders, what would it look like for you to just hold that commitment no matter what? Past June, no matter what, you keep going. I actually think it's very possible for y'all to develop 1,500 leaders. Totally possible. Yeah, and I actually want to issue a challenge. I told Andrew this. I was like, Andrew, I'm gonna challenge him a little bit. I actually want you to think about how you would need to problem solve if it was double. What if they told you 2,000 silver leaders? Let yourself freak out for a second. Be like, oh my God, is that even possible? But then I want you to think about, trust me, once you move past the discomfort of it, you're going to start problem solving on a different level. You have to think bigger for your goals. You have to problem solve bigger for them for the actual goal. So if you want 1,000 silver leaders, I want you to every single leader in here be thinking, okay, how can I strategically plan and prepare for if I needed to develop 2,000? You would think differently. I also want you to ask yourself, how do I need to be different in my being and what I believe and how I operate? I mean, all of y'all love your strategy, but I want you to think about the beliefs you're going to have to divorce in order for this goal to become inevitable. What story have you been telling yourself? It's hard. Number one I hear is, I'm not a good leader. I'm not a great leader. I don't have influence, Kristen. I can't make people want this. And when you believe that, you stop believing in your ability to influence and help someone want it and create that desire. Development requires you pouring into someone, you taking the time and shaping that person. Every single person in here is 100% capable of doing that. You can shape someone, you can mold someone, you can pour in their belief. I want you to decide, listen, when you believe I have 100% control over what happens in my team and I do have influence and I'm a great leader, you will show up differently. And your team will respond to you differently with you operating with that belief. You'll lean into the hard conversations. Leaders lean into the hard, they don't avoid it. Leaders don't think that person doesn't want it. They think, okay, hold up, this person joined me Where is their belief falling short, and what conversation might I need to have with them? I always tell people, I'm like, listen, if you say people don't want it, that's a cop-out for your leadership. It's a cop-out. Because if you believe they don't want it, then you don't have to have the conversation. You don't have to ask the hard questions. You don't have to dig back in their why. You don't have to figure out maybe there was something I didn't deliver on, or maybe there's something that's lacking in our systems that can easily be solved for. But again, that requires that full ownership. And you have to have, again, that compassion and the curiosity. Compassion for like, okay, what am I willing to own with me? Be gentle with myself and not beat myself up and tell myself these horrible narratives. And how can I enter into being curious with my leaders? Asking them the right questions, getting them to open up, hearing their story. A good leader does a lot of listening, a lot less talking. Another thing is the leaders that you develop underneath you, they likely have this story too. I'm not a good leader, I don't have what it takes. Or they think, when I'm sober, then I can act as a leader, then I can show up differently, then I can talk about this business. But you have to help people see that they can talk about this business now, exactly as they are. So many people get caught up in this and don't talk about the business because they keep waiting for like, well, Kristen, my income is only $500 a month, and so I don't feel comfortable talking about this, about the business. I can't call myself a leader. And because they don't talk about the business, they don't grow anything, right? They just kind of stay where they are. Instead of believing, wait, hold on, $500 would change somebody's life. Yeah. $500 would change somebody's life. And when they believe that, they actually feel empowered to go out and be like, wait, hold up. Everybody needs this. Everybody needs this. They don't need to be a rank to have that thought. I see so many people waiting to accomplish a rank for that to inform their belief about themselves. I see you. I'm just curious. Did you start losing belief in yourself when you lost your rank? Or you were unable to reclaim your rank? Did you lose the belief? Did you drop down and start identifying yourself as like, you know, whatever, I don't know all your names, but like diamond, crown diamond, whatever it is. Like, let's say you hit there and you lost it. Did you bring your self-concept, the way you saw yourself, did you say, that's not me, I was just one time. Like, you didn't embody that. This is who I am and this is how I'm showing up in the world. I want to issue that challenge. I want you to think of the next rank, and I want you to ask yourself, how does that version of me lead and show up? What does that person think and believe? How do they show up on the calls? How do they train and engage with their leaders? What do they own? What does that version of me do? I really want you, when you guys leave this event, I want you to be thinking about that version of you and start operating as that person. Your results will blow your mind. For a while, I remember when I did this work myself, when I was first starting my business, I just remember thinking, okay, that future version of me, what is she like? I was like, well, she probably gets up and doesn't wear her pajamas. She's probably like shower. And I know for me, I was like, okay, that version of me, she gets up every day. She is committed to the goal, and for some reason I told myself I wore heels. I was like, she wears heels. I'm pretty sure she wears heels. And I wore heels under her desk when no one saw for a whole year. But it was for me, it wasn't for anybody else. It was constantly stepping into my future identity and saying, wait, this is who I am. I'm being her now. I'm not waiting for the results to inform me. I'm deciding this is who I am. Do you understand how powerful this is? You have to teach this to your team. You have to teach your leaders. Listen, I'm going to treat you and talk to you as a silver, and I'm going to coach you up from that place. Instead of talking to them in their current state, be like, hey, I'm going to treat you as a silver because this is how I see you, and this is how I'm going to coach you and love you and hold you accountable, and we're going to have the hard conversations, and we're going to lean into the hard. Because I'm being the best version of me, and I'm going to speak to the best version of you. That's what leadership is. Yeah. Managing is I'm going to talk at you. Managing is I'm just going to talk at you and tell you what to do and just wait. And get annoyed when you don't do it. Get annoyed when you come back and ask me the same question. Speaking of manager, we kind of talked about this earlier. Conditional circumstantial ownership. They only own the things that feel good. When they rank up, yay, it was me. Yeah. A lot of momentum? Yay! Well, my favorite is when there's a flash sale and you all think you had your results because the flash sale created it. You can have extreme, amazing results. You don't need a flash sale to have extraordinary results in your business. Do you know what a flash sale does? All it does is it gives you accessibility to a belief. And it gives you accessibility to the belief of like, this is easy to buy. You'd be stupid not to buy this. It helps you understand the value. You're like, this is amazing. It's so easy to sell. But listen, you can think that selling a full retail price product. You can think that. You don't have to wait for a flash sale or for an incentive for your team to wake up and decide this is the best darn thing that's ever happened. This is why I'm saying you cannot believe circumstances, events, incentives, people, your company, corporate, systems create your results. You do. You have got to own that. This is why it's called radical result ownership. Your entire life will change when you're willing to own everything. Everything. A manager is always in reactive problem-solving mode. Your hair is on fire, you're trying to figure out things, everything feels like an emergency. You're in your DMs 24/7, you're trying to manage everyone's emotional state. That is not your job. You are not an emotional manager, right? Reactive problem-solving will burn you out. It will exhaust you. You'll constantly feel behind in your business. You'll constantly feel like you're catching up. Oh my gosh, okay, wait, well, next 30 days, I'll try and come up with a plan then. It's exhausting. And when you're so busy in the weeds catching up, you're not able to look up and have vision and understand, okay, hold on, where are we going? I gotta look up for a second and steer this ship. But when you're in reactive problem solving, you're too busy in the weeds to see what's going, where to turn your ship and making leadership decisions. A manager is also led by external drive. They're waiting for the incentive, the flash sale. They're upline to come and give them the pep talk, someone to check in with them. Someone from corporate to say, hey, you're doing a good job, waiting for the backpack from somebody else. You want to know the secret? Is you have to learn to applaud yourself every single day when nobody else is. Eventually you'll get the applause, but it'll take a long time. Are you willing to applaud yourself all the way to your goals when nobody else is? It's really easy to show up when we're getting accolades and we're getting recognition and people are saying good job. It's hard when it feels thankless. It's hard in the trenches. You have to applaud yourself. Stop waiting for external factors to inform your results. A manager is also in an action-reaction cycle. They take action and then they react to the results. They freak out. They don't evaluate. Because remember, the bullies there saying you suck. They don't want that. So they're like, okay, we're just going to try and figure something out. We're just going to throw more strategy at the wall and let's hope it sticks. Instead of, hold up, what do we need to do different? How can we evaluate? Taking all their power back. Being in a reactive state is really being in a state where you don't believe you have control and you're reacting to everything around you. That's exhausting. And that's when you will feel like you're in a hamster wheel. A manager is also very focused on short-term thinking. What do I get today? What's happening in the next 30 days? Instead of like, hold up, where are we going? How is this important for the long-term vision? Because when you're short-term thinking, everything feels like a crisis. Everything feels stressful. Everything feels like it's do or die time. And that's when I see people that get burnt out are people that are short-term operated people. They sprint, they play the sprint, they burn out, they take a nap. I've seen it so many times. But when you, again, long-term thinking is the key to long-term success. You play the short game, you get the short game. I kind of think of this industry kind of like the stock market. And they say, like, you don't put something in, expect something out right away. You put it in, you ride out the tides, you wait, you are strategic, you play the long game, you understand compounding interest, you understand ROI over the long game. You know, in the stock market they say it's not the timing when you get in the market, or the timing of the market, it's how long you're in the market. And some people have stories that success is only available based on when you get in this. Wrong! It's how long you're willing to play the game. It's how long you're willing to play. Do you know, I see people that keep waiting, that bounce from, this looks like the next, right time, right place, ground floor, woo! And they just get distracted. Guess what? They're still bouncing around 10 years later. And you know what I see every single time? They hit the same income threshold every single time. And they're like, it must be something else, since I've realized that I'm the common denominator. It's me. I watch them do this. Play the long game, you will have long gains. And your life, I promise you will see the beauty of this business model, and your builders will too. But you have to sell them on it. As a leader, you're always selling and growing these things in your people. Always, always, always. You're selling their belief. Their belief in three things. First, their belief in themselves. A lot of your people will have belief in the product. They'll see the business model. Most people are like, I see the potential of this business model, and I love this product. But they can't get on board with themselves. They can't believe that their success is inevitable. They can't get on board with believing that it's possible for them. Another thing you're selling is the vision. You have to sell the long-term vision. You have to sell the long game, always. Because when they're discouraged, they're short-term thinking. It's only painful when we think the end is in sight. But when we see an infinite timeline, it's not so painful anymore. You have to sell them, hey, I see where you're at today. Let's talk about your 3-year vision. Let's talk about 5-year vision. What does the version of you 5 years from now, what does she think about this one little bump in the road right now? She's going to laugh it off and say, you know what? It was a lesson. Right? Another thing you're selling them on is their potential. Yes, you can. Yes, you're capable. And you want to keep developing it. Because listen, they're human. They're going to be discouraged. They're going to have setbacks. They're going to have disappointments. They're going to have failures. And you have to remind them of their potential over and over again. And it's a privilege as a leader to do so, not a chore. To remind them of what they are capable of. You're also always growing their leadership. Again, a great leader creates leaders. Not just followers, not just a fan club. You want to create leaders. Your work is never done. I love this quote so much, and I think it's so important for you guys to really anchor this in as you are really focusing on developing your future leaders and the emerging leaders that have yet to come to you. Here's a great thought. What if your best leader has yet to come to you? That's a great thought. My best leader has yet to find me. Again, we're getting out of nostalgia, believing my best people were 5 years ago, and we're just going to try and keep everybody alive and beat a dead horse. Instead of hold up. There's so many people waking up to this business model, this opportunity. My best people, my best days, my best team, and my best leaders are still ahead of me. Doesn't that wake you up with a little bit of? Right? You have to embody that belief and believe it in your bones, where you are willing to fight someone on it, be like, all in, all bets in. I know it, now I'm going to prove it to you. I can't tell you how many times I had people say, good luck, Kristen. You know, it never happened. I'm like, see you in a couple years and I'll autograph for you. But I had to have that belief about myself before anybody else did. Being like, fine, see you there. Come to my book signing, I'll sign it for you. My boss laughed at me 4 years ago, and now he's like, hey, when's your book signing? Like, I already got your copy. We're doing this. But you have to have that level of unshakable belief. And it is contagious. You want to know what creates momentum? Collective belief in the organization as a whole that drives massive daily action in one direction. It starts with belief. This is where we're going. We know what we're doing. Everybody's on board. Let's go. Momentum doesn't happen to you. Momentum is something you create. How powerful is that? You don't have to wait for anybody. You don't have to wait for a flash sale. You don't have to wait for a pandemic. You don't have to wait for anything to happen on social media. You can create it now. You can walk out that door and say, we're creating momentum starting now, starting today, starting with who I am, starting with my beliefs. I'm going to wrap it up with this quote by Jack Welch. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And growing others is the most important, beautiful, hard, gritty work you will do. But it is the most worthwhile work you will do. Are you ready to grow leaders? Are you ready to grow 1,000 leaders? I'm not buying it. Young lady, are you going to create 1,000 silver leaders by June? Let's hear it. I believe you. Beliefs first, and get to work and serve well. Thank you so much, young lady.